What's up, everyone? It's Caddy with Money Investing. I just want to make sure the live stream is working. All right. So we are on. Should be working without any issues. Let me know in the live chat if you guys can see the screen. If you guys can hear me without any issues. We're seeing that spike from the VIX. It's up a little bit over 7% right now, and the SPY and QQQ ETFs are down. Hopefully, you guys did get a chance to watch the other video that I put out. NIO right at 40. That's good. Brandon, what's up? Thanks for joining in. All right, so we're getting that spike here. The Nasdaq is down almost 90 basis points. So we are seeing Tesla break down below 600, like we mentioned in our previous video as well. Yeah, so let me know in the live chat if you guys can see me, if you guys can hear me without any issues. We do have people joining in, so I'll wait a few more minutes for everyone to kind of join in, and then we will get going. So I did put out the video about what the Fed said about unwinding, and they are going to be starting with the corporate bond portfolio that they have. Roughly $13.8 billion is what they're going to start unwinding by the end of this year. It's going to be completely gone. So they are going to be selling that as well. Let's take a look at AMC. We have seen a bit of a pullback here pre-market, so did see some decent volume on AMC. I know that a lot of people would be very interested in this stock as well intraday. So we're looking at the 5-minute chart, and we've seen a drop from $77 to lows of 52, and that was almost a 32% drop. So some profit taking there is my assumption, because the volume is also kicked up a bit, and we saw that accelerated pullback here for AMC as well. But nonetheless, seeing that recovery for the for AMC stock. So, all right, so let me know in the live chat if you guys can see me, if you guys can hear me. Right now, so far, it says, Brandon says, welcome, and Niso is good to go. All right, so we'll cover the Bloomberg as well in just a second. I've got CNBC also running, so we'll see if there's anything interesting going on there. Rahul, we'll cover Bitcoin as well, so we will go over that, but let's take a look at the VIX here. So the volatility index is seeing that minor push higher. Remember, 90 levels, close to 20 levels is going to be the resistance level to watch for the VIX, and we're seeing that spike once again from those support levels at close to 15 and 16 levels. So we got the jobs report coming out later today, so we got about 30 minutes. And we got the ADP non-farm payrolls report that comes out also today. That's going to be very, very important that we're going to break down. Let me see if I can fix that screen very quickly while I wait for more people to join here. So, all right, Bloomberg. All right, I just want to make sure that the CNBC is also good. All right, perfect. All right. So the Nasdaq is almost down 1%, and that was what I was a little bit afraid of, right? Remember from our yesterday's live stream, we were talking about how we're seeing the calm before the storm, so to speak, because a lot of the S&P 500, the Nasdaq was pretty much flat. And VIX was hitting some tight support levels, and the S&P was also kind of shaky a little bit, which is why I would be a little bit cautious here, especially till June 15th, June 16th. So let me see if I have the calendar open. So this right here is the calendar, and we've got the ADP non-farm payrolls, and 8:30 a.m. we've got the initial jobless claims. Those are the two things that are on the agenda for today. Let me see if I can bring up econ days so we can get a good estimate of the ADP report and what we can expect moving forward. But yeah, Nasdaq most certainly seeing that pullback here pre-market. We are down almost 1%. All right, so on June 3rd, that's going to be today. So Jerome Powell speaks tomorrow. You guys know that at 7 a.m. We've got that on the calendar too. So 7 a.m. Eastern, we've got that on the calendar here. So Federal Chair Jerome Powell, 7 a.m. Eastern. And then today we've got the ADP non-farm payrolls. So Fed to unwind corporate bond facility. Let me see if I can pull that up. They're going to actually tell us, so New York Fed is going to tell us, the timing of those sales. So 13.8 billion is the unwinding, offering a taste of eventual QE tapering. So they are going to be offering some tapering moving forward as well. We have to remember that. So 815, let's look at the consensus. What is the actual consensus for the ADP non-farm payrolls? So consensus 650,000. So ADP's April estimates for 742,000 rise in private payrolls was far above the 218,000 actual result. The consensus forecast for ADP's May estimate is going to be 650,000. So that's going to be the estimate moving forward. And of course, if we come in a little bit lower than that, that means the unemployment rate is going to stay put. We're not going to see that change. But if we come in much higher, that means more people actually went back to payrolls. So yeah, I mean, we didn't add that many jobs in the month of April, right? We added actually a very, very low number of jobs in the month of April, much, much lower than the expectations there. So that is set to release at 8:15 a.m. We've got about oh, look at that. The NASDAQ here down over 1%, and the SPY is down over 79 basis points. So the VIX up over 8% on the day. So it's no surprise, that we're seeing that move here to the upside for the volatility index coming off the lows from that support. Of course, the SPX, we've talked about the monthly chart, and we're seeing that pullback for the SPY. And again, the RSI, the MACD seem a little bit on the overbought side on the monthly chart as well. So we're now down about 74, 75 basis points. All right, perfect. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. So yeah, AMC is now back in the green, up over a little bit over 1% right now. Let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla, I know that was down a little bit over 2.5%. There we go. We're seeing that sell-off. Pre-market, we're trading almost exactly at 590 for Tesla, and NIO is also down a little bit over 3%. Now we're trading below $40 a share. Let's take a look at Apple. Down almost 1%, breaking down under 124. That's the support level right here. Let's take a look at Amazon. So Amazon also down almost 1%, trading almost at 3,200. And let's take a look at NVIDIA. So NVIDIA and AMD we'll check out as well. So it's down a little bit over 1.2%. And AMD is also down over 1%, trading just under $81 per share. What do you guys think? Green or red on the day? Let me know in the live chat. You gotta get the live chat cooking. You guys don't talk at all. You gotta get the live chat going. What do you guys think? Red or green on the day? So Brian says red. Mullet says red. So yep, everybody says red. Definitely looks red. Yeah, it's the economic data that's coming out, right? That's the most important stuff here. Red, red, red. Han says green. Raiden says green too. Tired of red now, bro. Yeah. So I mean, wait till June 15 and 16. Right? That's when the end of the calendar is what we have. So, yep, Sheila says red. Sheila says red. Red, but not as bad of a red at close. Well, that's a fair estimate. Because I feel like now the market's going to start pricing in, right? They're going to price in the unemployment from today, the employment from tomorrow, Federal Chair Jerome Powell's speech, and the inflation that's coming out next week. By the way, what did you guys think about the Federal's Beige Book? If you guys did get a chance to watch that video, I put out like 25 minutes long. There were some specific details in that video that I wanted to break down. In different districts, we are seeing that price higher. Let's take a listen on Bloomberg here.
final 7 months of the year. So, in other words...
So an idiot like me in the triple leveraged all cash fund should load the boat this morning? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know if load the boat this morning is necessarily the case, but we do have stocks down, and they've kind of stalled out lately. So, for some people, perhaps it's an opportunity. And by the way, we should point out the S&P 500 is 10 for 10 when it comes to rising in that final 7 months of the year, as you see in that chart.
So that's like you going up to the Adirondacks and the temperature being under 40 degrees.
I knew that you were going to get that in
10.
somewhere. Yeah, 10 for 10 in terms of black flag bites, which were really off.
For growth after June 15th is going to hurt because of hyperinflation data. So I don't know about hyperinflation. I think there's going to be inflation, but hyperinflation is like, it has to go up 50% month over month consistently for us to be like in a hyperinflation territory. I heard that Russia drops US dollar assets for Euro Yuan. Interesting. So no hyperinflation, Greg says. AMC, let's take a look at AMC here. And then we'll kind of switch over to, we'll kind of create these forward charts where we'll cover like NIO, Tesla, Apple. Actually, let me go ahead and do that right now here. So we're going to open up these charts here, 5-minute four-way split. All right.
Green. There's your opportunity here. Look, the volume here is off the charts. This is basically the biggest volume, second biggest volume.
Well, you mentioned that option data earlier was stunning.
Yeah, the option data yesterday was absolutely off the charts, and we've seen this really. It's been like that now for the past 3 or 4 sessions here. It'll be interesting to see what happens today. Of course, you take a look at 63.14 on your screen right now for one share of AMC. The question is, for those folks who did manage to ride this to the top, do you sort of bail out now? Where do the shorts stand? A lot of that squeeze, we did see a squeeze, but a lot of them didn't get shaken out. Short interest still high here. A lot of people betting on this stock to go down top.
Let's go to a Bloomberg surveillance expert on AMC.
Yeah, which is?
Who?
This is a question where, I think people need to think about what's fundamental value and what's the stock price relative to fundamental value. So buyer beware. I guess that's the way I would put it.
Bloomberg equity strategist William Dudley there.
You got to be on your toes on this show.
Of the New York Fed.
I never know what Tom's doing.
All right. So, stagflation distance says AMC's hold off a little bit, but we'll go up again. Those paper hands are selling. Tesla, we will go over in just a second. We're just creating the split screen here. I mean, it's only been about 10 minutes since we've been live, but we got that bounce off the middle VWAP for AMC at close to $52. So this right here is going to be the 5-minute chart for AMC. Let's bring up Tesla here. And then we'll put Apple here, and we'll put NIO over at the bottom left. Can you explain NIO chart? Yes, I'll go over NIO chart in just a second. So NIO down over 3% now, trading under $39. We're hitting the same exact resistance for NIO. So this is the daily chart for NIO. If you guys have been following the channel, you guys have a really good understanding of what levels we've been watching. It's hitting a technical resistance and an overhead supply at these levels, right? This is the so to speak overhead supply that we've been fighting for months now. Like coming in from like March, every time we've traded over $42, we've seen kind of like price rolling over the following days, next couple of days, only because there are an abundance of sellers. And basically the cost concentration sits between $32 and $42. 90% actually is sitting between $32 and $42 for cost breakdown. So that's why we're seeing any type of recovery getting, gobbled up with the sellers over here and a potential rollover. Now, we are trading above the moving averages, so the support level that I'm going to be watching is going to be these moving averages at 50 EMA at 38.70 on the daily chart and as low as 37.35. If you trade back down, if you break down below these levels once again, then it's pretty much the same story all over again. We see these rollovers, consolidate, find support, and then make another attempt to absorb all that supply and break out to the upside. So again, that right there is the support at close to $40. We're just literally 6 cents shy of $40. So that right there is going to be the level, and of course $43 is the resistance for a clean breakthrough from that level, and for us to see higher highs and higher lows and a successful trend reversal. On the weekly chart, however, we are very bullish, so to speak. So you'll notice that we are from an RSI MACD standpoint, we do suggest that we could see some more upside. It says that the MACD needs to cross over the signal line and the RSI needs to start trending higher. Right now we're very neutral at the open right now. Love Caddy's technical analysis. Sounds like those auctioneers in auction. Thank you. I don't know. That's kind of an interesting comment. I haven't been to an auction at all ever, so I don't know what they sound like. But so my heart dropped when I woke up and saw the pre-market. Yeah, I mean, this was expected in my opinion. I mean, we've got about 20 minutes till the ADP report comes out, and again, we have to keep in mind the calendar, right? This is June 2021. We are going to see expected volatility. Like the VIX is going to go up. It's just a given at this point because, when the market prices in so many different things, and you pile on, Jerome Powell's speech, you pile on unemployment, inflation, OPEC meetings, you pile on the PPI data that's coming out, interest rate decisions, the Fed's decision to unwind their corporate bond portfolio. It's going to be an increased volatility environment. And when that happens, I mean, it's no surprise that we're seeing, NASDAQ down a little bit over 1%, and the SPY is also down over 70 basis points. So that's the spike in VIX. And again, June 15th and 16th is kind of like the level after which I could see more clarity and visibility for the markets. July is the real bull month. Yeah, second half of the 2021, like second half of this year, I could see sort of like a more persistent growth in some of those tech and growth names. And even in that, Federal Reserve's beige book, we read that there are going to be some bottleneck supply chain issues. And a lot of manufacturers and companies, in fact, are expecting price rises remainder of 2021. But going into 2022, they're expecting some stabilization in the prices and eventually even coming it down. So we'll see how that all turns out. Of course, there's going to be inflation priced in the future. Like future inflation will get priced in very quickly because the markets are very forward-looking. So Sundial says, guess what? I sold everything and went for AMC yesterday, in and out, and I'm mad more than what I'm mad. Or I made more than what I made last 6 months in safe stocks. YOLO all in from now. That's great. Congratulations. That's awesome. One thing I would suggest is that, selling everything and going all in, YOLOing everything is not a very consistent, so to speak. Of course, this is like a one-off event that we're seeing, and it's very great. I mean, this is amazing that what we're seeing with AMC play out, but this is like a one-off event that we have to understand that happens. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, I should say, because this is not a consistent sort of replicatable strategy over the long term, right? So the mindset is very important. Having a long-term mindset on solid companies that have great fundamentals is very important. But at this point, of course, AMC is kind of like a symbol to make a point with the system and how things are so messed up. All right, once the Fed moves, its market reacts automatically. That's normal. I'm about to dip. So do I see Tesla stock hitting 900 again? I do see Tesla stock hitting 900 once again. It's going to take some time though, because as interest rates move up on the long end with those 10-year yields and the Fed funds rate, then that's obviously going to drive the valuation and the growth multiples lower for some of those companies. All right, so this right here is going to be our, all right, so we got Tesla over here. Let me see if I can, all right. So Tesla is down over 2.4%. We are trading almost exactly at 590. That's the support, from our technical analysis from yesterday's video. So this is the complete breakdown for Tesla. So 590 is the level, right? That we're watching. Tesla also has overhead supply at over 600, 650 levels. So we're testing that support almost perfectly at 590. Below that, 540 is the support to watch. And if you guys remember correctly from our yesterday's live stream, when we were at roughly 620, I mentioned that I have this feeling, I have this sense that Tesla would potentially drop below 600, and test like close to 590 or 540 levels. So would not be surprised if we do get a retest of 540 with the volatility that we have coming in, and with the Nasdaq also down pre-market. So does anyone trust Cathie Wood anymore? So I still trust Kathy, who says watching AMD and EA stock seems great value at these prices. So I haven't looked into EA stock, but AMD for sure. I mean, in my strong opinion, AMD absolutely is a long-term winner, and it should be it should be considered at these prices. All right, so we got NIO bottom right. So this screen over here is markets just. What happened? What is going on? All right, we're seeing that volatility. Just feel like market just opened at 8 a.m. right on the dot. That was weird. That was weird. A lot of volume kicked in. Like Apple had a lot of volatility. Highs of 124, lows of 123. NIO as well. Someone made some decisions out there. So why aren't people talking about AHT? Let me take a look. Ashford Hospitality. It's up 14% yesterday. Wow, it's been quite a bit of a run here. From back in April 26, we're up over 222%. Now those are incredible moves. A lot of volume too. Yeah, I'm surprised. I haven't looked into this stock and nobody's talked about it. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations. So yeah, so Nasdaq's still down a little bit over 1%. The S&P is down over 75 basis points, and the VIX is up over 9% pre-market. Let's see if they have anything to talk about.
Of a mysterious labor market. Tom Keane, Jonathan Farrow, Lisa Abramowitz, off today. Romaine Bostic, part of the surveillance family, joining us as well this morning to really nail it down on AMC. Tom, I got to say, we got to begin on the markets. The fact that stocks seem to be deteriorating ahead of the open, led by the Nasdaq, now lower by more than 1%.
In this hour of important economic data, you're absolutely right, Lisa, to see the markets deteriorate. I would suggest we were at futures negative 20. There was a weight to the tape and all, but it's really deteriorated in the last hour. Negative 32 S&P futures. Dow takes it down to 34,360. We do Dow level for John Farrow.
Yeah, he's
negative 224. Thank you there. Trying to get to a VIX at 20. I don't think we're there intraday, but 19.06. Can you, Romaine, fold in the decline in equities to AMC, or is that too bold a statement?
Yeah, that's a little bit too bold. I mean, AMC is down about 4 or 5% here in the pre-market. We should point out, too, you didn't mention NASDAQ futures. I mean, they're down pretty hard as well, down 140%. And I'm telling you, well, I'm going to look for our viewers here as we point you to the afternoon here. It is a lot of the tech names, and it's kind of these second-tier tech names. So it's not just really the Microsofts and Apples that are dragging down this market. It's kind of those second-tier tech names. That includes, your Chewies and your Roblox, your rocket companies, a lot of stocks that had been a little bit more favorites of the retail trade. So maybe if you do want to try to make some sort of link correlation to
here.
That big move yesterday, they were up more than 20%. The slide happened, I don't even know, has it been a full hour? Not quite an hour ago, when the company announced it would be selling like an additional 11.5 million shares of stock from time to time as market conditions dictate. But here's what AMC, we were just referring to it, said in the 8K filed. In their words, we believe the recent volatility and our current market prices reflect market and trading dynamics unrelated to our underlying business or macro or industry fundamentals. We don't know how long these dynamics will last, and under the circumstances, we caution you against investing in our Class A common stock unless you are prepared to incur the risk of losing all or a substantial portion of your investment. But please call your broker now, because we've got 11.5 million for sale. No, they didn't say that at the end. But after saying all that, they're still, hey, we're still open. We're open for business. Yesterday, Wall Street was transfixed by the near doubling of AMC shares in regular market trading. In large part, the moves higher have been driven by extreme retail investor enthusiasm.
Diamond hands.
These are, I don't know what kind of... At the closing bell yesterday, the company had a bigger market cap.
Oh, United Airlines, bigger market cap than United Airlines. I read an article today, $4.5 billion losses for all the hedge funds. That was really, really interesting. It went over Ortex, which is one of the... let me pull that up. There we go. So you'll notice defined meme stock short sellers are stared down $4.5 billion losses. This actually came out today, June 3rd, 2021 at 3 in the morning. So the capacity of short sellers to withstand pain is being tested anew by day traders, driving up share prices of meme stocks like AMC. Reading further. Oh, my bad. So paper losses from the bearish wagers on 10 of the most shorted US shares amounted to 4.5 billion on Wednesday. And that includes, so out of the 4.5 billion, that includes 2.75 billion in unrealized losses for AMC Entertainment, following the stock's 95% surge, rising to nearly 4 billion after adding GameStop and Bed Bath & Beyond. So reading further, how much longer can short sellers hold on to? Hillerberg wrote in an email, the majority of short sellers have been happy to sit on significant paper losses in the hope that retail investors will blink first and the losses won't be realized. This is now looks like a flawed strategy. Professional speculators may still take issue with that last claim, while hedge funds were forced to retreat in late January under a similar withering assault whipped up on Reddit. So GameStop was one of the stocks that basically took a couple of hedge funds out. That is incredible. Incredible. I mean, this is just fantastic. So we're seeing a bit of a pullback here in AMC, down about 10.5%. I think it's just a game of waiting at this point. It's just a game of waiting. You know, who like the article said, whoever blinks first, basically. And the time is also on the retail investor side, because we're not paying any interest on holding on to the shares, right? We as in just the retail audience, as opposed to the hedge funds that are actually paying interest by the minute on the borrowed shares that they have. But Tesla's still down a little bit over 2%. We've got NIO's down a little bit over 3%. We've got the jobless claims numbers coming out very, very soon. In about 5 minutes, we're going to have the jobless ADP numbers come out. So ADP is different than, so John, the name's Catty, K-A-T-T-Y. Harry says, burn Barry, Chanos, and rest of the manipulators. So Addict says, what is your opinion about index funds? Can you sell and buy at lower levels, or is it best to and some cash every month to buy high lows? So for index funds, I wouldn't suggest you treat them as like trading instruments. Like index funds in general, they don't trade intraday. Like you can't buy and sell index funds intraday. You can do that with ETFs, or exchange traded funds that mirror the index fund, and they also trade intraday. But if you want to invest in index funds, you have to have like a longer term mindset. They also have very lower expense ratios. So if you're looking at an S&P 500 index, very, very long-term focused, lower expense ratio, historically has also outperformed the markets. But if you want to actually trade something, I would encourage you to look into like SPY or VOO, or something like QQQs that are going to be like the S&P and the NASDAQ ETFs that you can actually work with that strategy where you want to buy at lower levels and then sell higher, and take advantage of that market volatility. Yes, so VTI and VO are really nice long-term dollar cost averaging positions. Those are like more Vanguard products that offer very low cost expense ratios as well. So VIX is now up over 10%, guys. So this is the analysis, right? We're seeing that spike in volatility. It's not a surprise. So we're almost going to be testing that 1992 like 20 levels. So this is the resistance to watch first, and let's see if we get that breakout over 20 levels. But that is going to be the first level to watch. And of course, the NASDAQ is down a little bit over 1.7, close to 1.07%, and SPY is also down about 80 basis points. All right, so we got about 6 minutes till we get that ADP report. ADP is also a private company as opposed to the government report that comes out tomorrow. So today is the ADP non-farm employment. It has 400,000 clients that basically report, payroll numbers, and 650,000 is the actual estimate for the month of May. And then tomorrow we've got the actual government non-farm payrolls for the month of May, and the new unemployment rate. Currently we're sitting at 6.1%. What do you guys think? Are we going to see an improvement or not in the labor market for the month of May? What do you guys think? John, yes, I do sleep. I do sleep like usually around like 10:30, and then wake up at 4 every morning. But that's kind of like been the time schedule that I've had. Employment rate report not on the 4th June. Yes, it is. It is on the 4th of June. Today is simply the ADP report. That's the private company that actually does report before the actual government does. Gives us a good indication on what we can expect tomorrow. Hopefully improvement, might be flat or a little better. Huge improvement. Very small improvement. Yeah, last month was weird, right? Last month we missed that estimate by a lot. Only added 250,000 jobs. So we're going to do better. We'll see. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. But we are pulling back, and the VIX is also spiking. So Nasdaq is down a little bit over 1.11% now. All right, let's take a look at AMC here. So we're down a little bit over 5.7%. So that was the huge rally yesterday. Continue to push and validate those moving averages. Right now we are seeing a bit of a breakdown and a retest and a backtest rejection of those moving averages. For everybody watching this, AMC stock, if you are trading or investing in it, this is the support I'd watch. That's where the buyers also stepped in a little bit on pre-market. And of course the resistance is going to be at $64, like kind of aligned with that 21 EMA as well. So why did AMC go down pre-market? It could be just some I'd say like it could be just some profit taking over here. I mean, it hit highs of $77. We had some volume here. So if you look at pre-market volume, we had 1.65 million shares, we had 953,000 shares, we had 2.78 million shares. So, this is the first time we're actually seeing a bit of a drop here. Like if you look at AMC's chart, a little bit of a dip pre-market we have seen before running up even higher. So pre-market usually is, more volatile. So it has seen those ups and downs. All right, so let's listen on this.
100,000 print in about a half an hour time or 20 minutes. Yeah. There is still a huge number of people. I mean, that's still massive compared to pre-crisis levels, and you do wonder why there's still so many people coming out of the labor market when you've got everyone saying that they've got labor market shortages.
Futures negative 34, Dow futures negative 242, and the VIX 19.22. Remind us we got down to 16 handle in the good news, and we've backed up to about May 25 on the VIX 19.21. And coming up, Michael McKee is entered the hermetically sealed.
Yes, so this is also could be one of the reasons, right?
Netflix of video games, and I wonder what.
So AMC to sell 11.5 million
AMC
shares is what I'm reading here on CNBC.
I don't know. We've talked about I like these little massage chairs you got that go back all the way, and you can have a cocktail. And what? I didn't say massages. I said I like the massage chairs.
I listening for a second. And
yeah, you did. You did. No, that's not. No.
Right. So let's take a look if you can.
Right, Henry? I mean, maybe even AMC. Maybe we don't understand. Who are we to say we understand what the movie-going experience of the future looks like?
If it is valuable to have a $30 billion market capitalization, is I think what you're saying. You can do something with that if you act quickly, and that's what AMC is doing. They're taking advantage of it. Maybe GameStop does the same thing, but I think we all know where this is extremely likely to head, and I thought one of Mike Santoli's facts was fascinating, that the average or the median price yesterday was $65. It means a lot of people are already down unless they made a lot of money on the way up. So it's, Henry, can't stand the heat.
Another one of the charts that I was seeing yesterday was the average cost breakdown on Webull was like really interesting. It was sitting at $32 after yesterday's close. So it takes into account the national exchange, 13 exchanges nationally. It compiles all that data from level 2 and gives us the average cost breakdown. We've covered that on separate of our videos on Palantir, NIO, and Tesla, and so on and so forth. But AMC's was sitting at $32, made over 90% of investors profitable on AMC. Like, that was incredible statistic for the company. But 11 million ain't nothing. Tried like 7 million yesterday alone. Yeah, so I mean, in comparison with the actual share count and the volume that we saw yesterday, it's not a huge difference maker for the company, right? So SEC filing 11.55 million shares of Class A common stock offering, and then we also saw the message that they put out on their 8K about the volatility that we're seeing. All right, so we got about here a couple minutes here. Let me switch over to Bloomberg and see what we have. The VIX is up to 1920, up over 9.7. NASDAQ seeing that further fall here, down about 1.17%. And we're seeing the SPY also down about 80 basis points. All right, so let's listen on this.
For the ADP, says private payrolls for the BLS will rise by 978,000. That is quite a bit above the estimate of 680,000. They revised down the April payroll number, still above what the BLS reported. Looking at the May number, goods sector did pretty well, 128,000, but a huge surge according to ADP in the service sector of 850,000. You can see that's above all of it, by the way, the non-farm payroll estimate of Wall Street for Friday. Looking at businesses by size, you can see it was across the board. Everyone's north of 300,000. Small business, medium-sized business, and large business all getting in on the action and doing massive hiring according to ADP.
Interesting.
Looking at it by industry very quickly here, leisure and hospitality leading the way once again, coming back, the hotels, all that stuff. Education, health services, the doctor's offices coming back. Trade, transport, and utilities, the airlines coming back. Professional business services and construction, well, they're building homes like they're going out of style. Guys, I wish I could tell you that you should take all your chips and put them on a strong report on Friday, but ADP, along with the Wall Street consensus, they've done a very lousy job of trying to forecast jobs during this pandemic. I'll give you one example. They used to have an average of 60,000 in terms of their average monthly miss. It's now like 400,000 over the past 3 months. So not sure what to do with this, but one signal that perhaps the jobs market is coming back or came back in May. Joe?
Thanks, Steve. Let's get back to insider Henry Blodgett in our conversation about the volatility in these things. You know, we can spend too much time on this. I don't know how many people are in these things, Henry. So let me ask you this, though. If we were to agree that the cheap money is flowing downhill, and that way at the very end you got crypto and meme stocks and NFTs and all this crap.
Wow, so 970 something thousand jobs added in the month of May. That's incredible. So both months, that was a huge miss. In the month of May, we actually expectations were 650,000. We had over 850,000 alone in the service sector. And in the goods sector, a little bit over 150,000. Small business, large, medium-sized businesses across the board, all three over 300,000 jobs added or people added on the payrolls. So huge beat there. The markets are very muted to this reaction. Of course, this is the precursor to what we're going to see tomorrow. So that is going to be CNBC. I've got two shows running right now, Bloomberg and CNBC side by side. And depending on which one actually has something going on, I basically tune in on something. So yes, the 11 million shares, if you look at the date, it says April. Does it? So this right here, this came out June 3rd, 2021. So this actually came out today for the 11.55 million shares. So not sure which April that is. But yeah, this AMC may sell nearly 12 million shares. It actually came out today on June 3rd for AMC, which is why we potentially are seeing that pullback for the stock. But nonetheless, Tesla is still down a little bit over 2%. We've got Apple that is down about 83 basis points. NIO is down over 2.8, trading exactly at $40 a share, exactly at 40 bucks. We're seeing that very muted reaction from the markets despite the better than expected labor market. So tomorrow's report is going to give us more estimate of the average hourly earnings and a lot of other different statistics that the markets like to look at. But for today, we are only getting like the goods and services and a lot of other statistics related to the employment in terms of the different types of businesses as well. Will we expect market to turn upside? It's kind of hard to say. I mean, the market is still pricing in potential inflation. I think when we look at that priority of the catalyst, this is kind of like the beginning of what we're seeing, a more volatile 2 weeks. Tomorrow's Federal Chair Jerome Powell's speech is going to be very important. The non-farm payroll is the actual for the month of May, the unemployment number. And I think when you look at those priority ladder, like I think interest rates is the most important. Then we talk about inflation, then we talk about employment. And then of course, ADP employment is even at the lowest level. So this catalyst alone may not be enough to turn the markets. It gives us more clarity as to what we can expect tomorrow. But I think next week when CPI, PPI numbers comes out, we've got the housing starts and the interest rate decision. Those are some things to definitely move the markets that are going to get priced in like instantaneously. So, all right, let's take a look at some of the stocks here. Is there anything moving right now? VIX is up over 8%. AMC is still down a little bit over 6%. Let's take a look at GameStop. GameStop is down a little bit over 4%, even though I don't think they did anything of a any of share offering or anything. I think it's just getting moved down with AMC's price action here. But let's take a look at some of the other stocks here. So now once I've seen the market go up when Fed speaks, it has happened. Trust me, it's happened like in a few days in March, but it has also rolled over. I've never been a huge fan of the market going up when the Federal Reserve speaks, only because I always think that this is not organic growth. It's only going up on what the Federal Reserve is saying, Jerome Powell is saying, and we're taking it by the word. Instead, we just need to relax and just let the market do its thing and have more breadth behind the move, right? Because right now we're seeing weaker relative strength readings. If the market goes up on weaker volume, weaker RSI, it's always, you want to be on the alert. You want to be cautious for a potential rollover in the markets. If you have higher volume, if the relative strength follows along, then that could suggest that we could see some more upside potentially in the future. All right, so let's bring up some stocks here. Let's start our notepad. We've got about an hour or so for the markets to open, so we'll break down some stocks here for all of you guys because we have a little bit over 420. We've got exactly 420 people watching. Exactly 420. That's amazing. All right, so which stocks are we going to break down here? So Palantir, we'll break that down. Let's go. We've got 10. Whoever comments in the live chat first, we got those 10. So NIO, we got AMD. We got Microsoft. Nvidia is a good one. Tesla, we already broken down. AMC, we are going to break down, of course. We're going to watch AMC as well. Let's look at CCIV here. CCIV was up. A lot of stocks were actually up yesterday. Skills was also up on a huge breakout yesterday, right? Let's take a look at Shopify. Shopify, a lot of them actually are going to be range bound, so there's not going to be new analysis, so to speak. It's going to be very unchanged. So that's something that we have to keep in mind also for these. So Palantir, we put out a video yesterday. Had a rally over 6%. It was the 5th most talked about stock on Wall Street Bets, and we saw a jump of over 6%. There was no catalyst behind the move here, but we did break out over 24.28, but right now we're seeing that pullback down about 3% as well. So the support levels to watch for Palantir are sitting kind of aligned with this moving average at the 50 EMA at close to 2240 levels or 2250 levels. And again, this was expected because a 6% move on no catalyst is certainly because of the momentum that we have seen on a lot of other stocks. So we are seeing a bit of a pullback, but 2250 is going to be the support level to watch on the day. So support, we'll keep that at 2250 levels, and resistance we're going to watch at close to 2430 on the day. So NIO has a support at 40. We'll keep that intact, and resistance at $43. So 43 is the level where the overhead supply sits for NIO. So we'll go over the overhead supply here. So for $43.30 is going to be the level. So triple top resistance there for NIO, and a clean breakout over that level is potentially going to put us back over that trend reversal. And what happens after 43.20 levels is that a lot of cost concentrated between 32, 42 levels, people that are in the red for NIO turning green. So we turn more confident about the bullish momentum here, as opposed to a lot of investors basically thinking that the price is going to roll over once again. I might as well just get out, take a small loss of maybe 1%, 2%, whatever the case may be, if they're sitting like right above this supply over here, and that's what's causing the price to roll over every time. All right, so next up, we are going to break down very quickly AMD. So AMD is stock that we do have in our growth portfolio, trading just over $81 per share. Long-term winner, in my opinion. I have a strong conviction in this pick. Got quadruple bottom support at $74. Still validating those levels. We are trading above the moving averages, but so NASDAQ futures breaking it down here. That's the alert that went off. So NASDAQ futures, let's take a look. So NASDAQ futures trading as low as 13,513 levels. So we're down a little bit over 1.17% for the NASDAQ. But AMD has a clean support and a resistance. $74, very, very clear. Even as high as $80, I would put that as a support there. These both levels, in my opinion, are good buying opportunities for AMD. $74 more aggressive buying opportunity, and $80 is also going to be a decent opportunity. This is easily over $110 stock, in my opinion, for the long term here. And $84 is the resistance for AMD. So Brian, futures are futures market. So futures basically open at 6 p.m. Eastern every night, except for Saturday. So they did open last night and they're still trading. We've got the NASDAQ futures, we've got S&P 500 futures, we've got gold, we've got oil futures. There's a lot of there's a futures market that basically trades, and the way that works is basically, you know, it's again a derivative, or it's like a different asset class, very similar to options. You have a predetermined set forth date and price where you are buying and or selling those asset classes. As opposed to options, contracts, and futures, I feel like futures don't have an obligation to actually fulfill on those orders. But I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. I don't actually do futures trading, but those are a good indication as to where the markets are going to open. So we've got NASDAQ, we've got the S&P 500, which open at 6 p.m., but then they trade overnight, and they open at 9:30 a.m. Their actual regular market opens at 9:30 a.m. as well. All right, so I only have 2 stocks, NIO and AMD. 2 has 100%, no diversification. Those are strong picks, but I would still, you know, encourage you to look into some diversification there, because you know, concentration is a bit risky too, unless that turns out to be the right play and the right winner. Then that can basically, you know, generate a lot of wealth, but it's also lack of diversification can be very harmful as well for the long term. All right, let's talk about Microsoft here. So just quickly, we're gonna bring this up.
No Bitcoin on our list, but we have seen Bitcoin move higher this morning, Jeff.
Yes, we have. Coming up, breaking economic data, new jobless claims, and productivity numbers are out in just a couple of minutes.
All right, we'll tune back into CNBC in just a second. So Microsoft has a support at 245, I believe. So that's the support that we've talked about. So yep, we are potentially coming down to that level, trading exactly at 245 levels. So if I go over to the 4-hour chart, that is the level to watch right now. So 245 all the way as low as 238. Again, would not be surprised if you do see a breakdown below that level. We're down about 80 basis points pre-market right now. So 245 support. It has a pretty strong resistance at close to 253, all the way as 261 for Microsoft. All right, next up, NVIDIA. NVIDIA had a huge breakout, trading all the way at 675, I think, yesterday. So right now it's at 665, but yesterday I believe it's trading all the way as like 670 or even higher. So 676 is the all-time high for NVIDIA stock. So yeah, huge breakout over that resistance at 649, 650 levels. Again, coming in because of the momentum that we are seeing and the potential stock split, 4-for-1 stock split that they're going to be doing. But this is going to be the support at 649, 650 levels to watch for NVIDIA's support. Keep that at 650. And resistance is going to be at 675. And again, all these numbers are going to be available for everybody on the Discord. I'll post that right after the live stream. Usually do post our morning briefings there as well if you guys want to get access to that. So Tesla coming down. 590 is a support. We just bounced off the lows. Low for pre-market is as low as 589. So we're just about $1 shy from those levels. So Tesla is going to have a support at 590 here, and resistance at 620 once again. And again, I am a little concerned about Tesla's price action in the short term. So would not be surprised if we do see a breakdown, unfortunately, below 590 as well for Tesla stock. So next up, we're going to talk about AMC here. AMC is kind of tough to analyze on the daily and the weekly and the monthly chart only because it's just been going up. It hasn't seen a pullback. But we are down roughly 7% pre-market. Not a huge deal there. But you'll notice that we have moved up a lot. This was the last time we saw that validation on that 21 to 50 EMA, and then huge divergence there, upwards move after May 24th. So jump of 500%. All right, let's listen on this productivity report here.
Pandemic low, breaching the 400,000 mark, 385,000. Though continuing claims cannot make the same comment, 3,771,000. It does not usurp what is the current low in that series, and that was the last week in April at 3,640,000. In terms of non-farm productivity, about as expected, up 5.4%, and the associated unit labor costs up 1.7. That is definitely higher than we expected, but then again, anything that seems to point towards prices seems to be on the high side lately. We all saw that humongous ADP number just shy of 1 million. Interest rates have ticked up just a bit, and the ongoing argument will continue. It'll be framed as anecdotal why people aren't going back to work, but I think that anecdotal is getting tough to defend. With vaccines out there and crowds getting large, it seems pretty obvious why people aren't working. And to think that there's economists all over the country thinking it's time to experiment. The government needs to get involved to give bonuses and lure people. Seems like microman.
This is on Bloomberg here.
5,000, 436,000 if you round it. That's down from 15.8. These are the number of people who are still getting benefits, who are still available to come back into the labor force, people who were either employed by companies or self-employed and out of business at the moment. And there is still a lot of people. That's as of May 15th. It's 2 weeks delayed. So as of 2 weeks ago, but that's still the week of the jobs report. As of 2 weeks ago, still a lot of people out of work. Quickly noting non-farm productivity. This is the final revision, comes in at 5.4%, no change from the initial number of 5.4%. Unit labor costs up 1.7%. That's significantly higher than the negative 0.3% that was originally reported, and it may have something to do with the fact that, as Tom and I were just talking about, we are seeing employers pay more to workers, even if not in wages, in bonuses or something, as they try to fill their ranks.
Just to give you a sense of the market reaction, nothing major, although you are seeing the 10-year yield continue to rise, nearly 1.61%, really climbing up there, although falling back down. Not a major move. A key question, though, Michael, yes, this is a less bad number, and yet why are there still 385,000 individuals filing for unemployment benefits at a time when a lot of companies are complaining about labor market shortages?
Well, there are always going to be people who are out of work. We never got below 200 some odd thousand really in the days before the pandemic, and that even that was considered really low because we had a very tight labor market. So people are still, there's a job churn as companies come in and out of business, and that may be the case. You may see some companies who tried to reopen and really couldn't, and their workers go off work. Also, and let me just quickly mention this, Tom, when you have factory shutdowns like we did for the auto workers because they couldn't get parts, those people are
So yeah, I mean, the argument still remains, why aren't people going back to work? We did see a drop in the initial jobless claims. So week over week, we're seeing that 20,000 job down week over week. So I think it was roughly at 350,000 versus 385,000 last week. So about 35,000 drop. But yeah, the question really is, why aren't people going back to work? You know, when there's a huge demand for labor. Like, we broke down the Federal Reserve's beige book that came out yesterday. And in that report, you'll notice across a lot of districts, there's few narratives that are running side by side. The first one is, of course, you know, there's price pressures because the cost of materials is going up, input prices are going up. The second one was the demand for labor, right? So wage growth. Every manufacturers and companies are fighting or struggling to basically find workers. Some companies even paying people to come to an interview, right? McDonald's paying $50 in some areas for people to come to work or come to an interview. So Stock Drip says, I see so many hiring signs. Yeah, I'm not in the US, but I'm sure there's plenty of hiring signs across, you know, everywhere, in stores and malls and a lot of places. So thank you so much. Yeah, don't forget to hit the like button. Really helps out the channel, in case I forget. So yeah, that's the big issue, but we'll see tomorrow where the unemployment rate sits. It's at 6.1%, and that's what the Federal Reserve is also going to be watching to see if any type of a substantial further progress. But we're down a little bit over 1% here. The SPY is down about 70 basis points. Tesla's still down over 2%. We got NIO down over 2.5%. Apple down over 78. AMC down a little bit over 7% pre-market. Amazon is fighting that 3250 level, right? 3250 is the resistance for Amazon, and we're also down. I mean, for Amazon, the catalyst to watch is going to be the retail sales that come out. They come out on Tuesday, not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday on June 15th. So retail sales and core retail sales at 8:30 a.m. Eastern on that day are going to be very important. Basically goes over consumer spending and how many people are actually spending money on a bunch of different items. So for AMC, you know, when we go over to the weekly chart, we have, of course, made a new all-time high, and we've broken past all previous resistance levels. This is the first time AMC is trading at these levels. The all-time high previously was marked at close to $35 per share, so we're almost double that previous resistance and all-time high. Let's kind of drill down on shorter time frames to really understand what levels are very important. So even on the 4-hour chart, there's not a lot of information. So we're going to drill down to, let's see, 1-hour chart. So 1-hour chart, there's a clear direction, right? Uptrend, validating the 21 or the 50 EMA, more so the 21 EMA. So you'll notice even right now, as we sit, we are right above that 21 EMA. So if I scroll back on AMC's chart, you'll notice, you know, consistently we validated that 21 EMA. So the pattern has always been like this. So we push up, you know, we come back down, validate that 21 EMA, we push up. This was probably the first time we actually sold off below that 21 EMA for some time. So this was the drop, you know, below that level. But then moving forward, we are back over those moving averages, right? This is, once again, we are pushing higher, validating that 21 EMA. Validation, validation, validation here. And right now, you'll notice on pre-market, we're sitting perfectly over that 21 EMA. We did dip down twice, not once, but twice in a 2-hour span. But the buyers stepped in to push us back over that 21 EMA. So I think that would be the support, sitting at 57.50 levels for AMC right there. At close to $57.50. The first support all the way as low as this 21 EMA, which is also perfectly aligned, you'll notice, from this previous resistance standpoint at that support. At close to $45. And that's going to be this previous resistance right here. So actually, let me go ahead and remove this. So previous resistance on the 1-hour chart, this is on June 2nd. So yesterday at around 5 in the morning, this is pre-market. We sold off, validated that 21 EMA before that breakout happened. More consolidation sideways, breakout, new all-time highs pre-market, sell-off. So if we do see a breakdown below that 21 EMA, that would be an entry point. If, again, understanding the volatility and the risk here, with AMC, if you want to go long, that would be the support at 45.57, aligned with that 50 EMA. And you want to have a really tight stop loss below that, if in case you're trying to day trade this or swing trade this. Because Coming in from May 24th, I want to point out that since the last week of May, AMC stock price has not dipped below that 50 exponential moving average on the 1 hour chart. It has, in fact, not even dipped below the 21 EMA, right? So we have just consistently pushed up, pushed up and then validated that level. So that would be the two levels to watch for AMC as support. First one at 57.50, all the way as low as this 45.50 levels. And of course, the spreads are big, the ranges are big because of the volatility. In a 1 5-minute candle, the stock can go up 20, 30, 50%. All right, so we're gonna add that to the list here. So AMC, two support levels. The first one is gonna be 57.50, all the way as low as 45.50 levels. And the resistance is perhaps going to be the all-time high, sitting at roughly over $77. So we'll go ahead and set up an alert at over 78. And an alert below 57.50. All right, so SDNL, we'll add that to the list as well. Let's add CCIV here. So CCIV had a bit of a quite of a run, right? Last few days. It's 9% yesterday. We did get a breakout over that $21 level after validating several times. Look at that. Huge move for CCIV here from lows of $17. So we saw that breakout over 21 and the 50 EMA, so that's incredible. I'll go ahead and turn that level into a support. And the next resistance to watch for CCIV is going to be at $27. So right now, everything is down pre-market. It's no surprise because of the economic data that's coming out and because NASDAQ and S&P are also down. But the next resistance to watch is going to be at $27 per share. And that could be the new range. That could be the new support, like the back-tested support at close to $21 per share for CCIV moving forward. So support at 21 and resistance at $27. So this is Cameron. This is TradingView charts. So this is their TradingView platform that I use. They've got a free platform that you can join. There's going to be additional features as well for paid subscribers, but you can definitely test it out if you like this. I've been using it for well over 3 years. I absolutely love the platform for charting. So, all right, let's check up on the other stocks here. We're gonna go over skills. So skills is actually on a different chart.
Snowball effect that you saw upward, not necessarily saying it's going to drop 50% the way it rose 100%, but you're going to see a pretty steep decline here. We should point out is not only AMC down here in the pre-market, but a lot of the other retail favorite stocks, the meme stocks, if you will, are also significantly lower here as well pre-market.
I mean, Lisa, you love how we're doing this stock stuff for the remainder this morning?
I love it.
Do you not do this every morning?
Honestly, I think the AMC story is so fascinating.
All right, so Skills had a huge breakout over $26 after the news came out that they were acquiring another company for, I think it was like, I forgot what the number was, for $150 million. So Skills to acquire Archie, so I think it's like artificial intelligence is going to help them with the development of their application for $150 million. Almost getting tagged at that resistance. So yesterday's high was $23 on the dot. But yesterday's close was $21.55, and look at where that resistance is for Skills at $21.55. This is the resistance coming in from April 26th, so that is the exact level that we got rejected at. So resistance is going to be $21.55, and support level is going to be sitting aligned with those moving averages right now. So 1830 is going to be the near-term level to watch. So 2150 EMA, those right there, support levels, because this is the first time we're seeing that breakout over those levels. So historically, rejection, rejection, rejection. First time we're seeing that breakout over higher highs and higher lows as well, potentially for Skills. And the RSI also with a huge breakout. Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. If you guys can drop that like button. All right, so next up on the list, we've got Shopify. Shopify is going to be very range bound, 1200 support and resistance at 1290. You know, we're still struggling at that resistance. We got rejected at that yesterday. So this has been a range bound pattern since June and July of last year. So yeah, we're down pre-market about 1%. Yesterday we were down over 1.75, so 1290 is a resistance, 1200 is a support, range bound, moving averages aligned with that support at 1200. All right, next up we've got Enphase Energy, ENPH. So Enphase also forming some type of a bull flag. So if I were to remove all these trend lines, this may be the next swing trade that we could potentially take here. If we do see some type of a pullback at close to 130 levels, this may be a one that we could consider for a swing trade for our Patreon members. So that's the resistance that we're struggling to break out over. You know, that's the potential bull flag that we're forming. And the next resistance to watch is going to be 150. 130 is going to be the support to watch. AMC is 5712. That's the alert that went off. Let's take a look. So AMC down just about 8% here on the 1 hour chart. We are seeing that potential breakdown below that 21 EMA. So that would be the one, that would be the level. That would be the first time actually that we're breaking down below that 21 EMA in a long time on the 1 hour chart. And 4550 is going to be the next support. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see a flush all the way down to that level. We could see buyers step in once again. We still have 13 minutes left for these candles to close. This is the 1 hour candle. Just like we saw with the last hour, right? Last hour we were trading all the way as low as $52 before the buyer stepped in to close at 60. So we'll go over Ethereum as well in just a second. But jumping back over to Enphase Energy, support is going to be at 130, resistance at 150. And this is also shaping up for a potential bull flag breakout if it continues to validate that 21 EMA and the 50 EMA. This could represent a good asymmetric trade-off moving forward. All right, so we've got SNDL, Sundial. I think we have it on a different chart. Let's take a look at this one. So Sundial's up over 10% pre-market. That's incredible. So Sundial had a perfect retest of that 200 simple moving average. So I wanted to kind of bring that up. Because we were consolidating sideways here, then a breakout over those moving averages, and right now we're seeing that continuation and a follow through for Sundial as well. So the next resistance I'd watch for this stock is going to be roughly at $1.65, kind of like at those levels, and even at these resistance at close to $1.37, $1.38. So two resistance levels, previous resistance back tested support here a little bit. We were validating for a couple days before we broke down, pushed up, validated support. So those right there are going to be two resistance levels to watch for Sundial. It's $1.35, $1.65, and the support level is going to be over here at close to 92 cents. That's going to be aligned with the moving average, the 50 EMA we have, and this previous support that we validated on March 5th. All right, so let's go back over to our split screen here. So we got Tesla bouncing off the lows a little bit, back up to 595. We're still down a little bit over 1.65%. NIO, we're still down over 2.36%. We're still trading at that $40 level support. Apple, we're still down about 0.5%, 124. We're just holding on. We're just holding on above 124. That's the support. If you break down, 118 is the level that I'm buying at. But SPY down about 0.5%. QQQ is down about 88 basis points. Apple had a pretty significant catalyst here 5 days ago. During the last week of May, they had an analyst downgrade Apple and basically saw like a 30% drop is coming. So that was pretty interesting too, but he basically said that iPhone revenue is going to slow down and it's going to decelerate, which I don't agree with. I think it's you can make an argument that new users to the ecosystem are not coming at the same rate as they were like a few years ago, but Apple is killing it when it comes to the upgrade business and how quickly consumers are upgrading to the newer versions of the iPhone. We just saw that with the quarterly report. I don't know what they're talking about. All right, getting a little bit of a bounce here for the QQQs and SPY. SPY is now down only 0.5%, and so is the Nasdaq, and the VIX is coming off the highs. We're only up over 6.9, almost 7%. So this right here is the candle down about 2.25%. All right, let's listen on this here.
So I think it's absolutely, I think, a matter of education. You get carried away when you're making money every week or every month. But when that blows up in your face, you got to be prepared for that, and that is a matter of education.
Hey, Joe, you bring up concerns about the retail investor, and again, you're somebody who's been a champion of the retail investor. You've kind of been there watching this for decades. I think a big part of the concern, though, is if these retail investors get burned and get burned badly, it will turn them away from the markets, an entire generation of people away from the markets, and that's bad news. It's bad news for what it means for the markets, but it's worse news for what it means for that generation of people who have turned away from what should be the best way of raising money and saving money over a long period of time.
I think when you make a mistake in the business world, when you make a mistake in the football field, when you make a mistake as an investor, you tend to learn the most from those mistakes. And the concern that you're talking about, Becky, is very, very real. Having said that, at some point in time, the day traders got to recognize that the markets go like this over time. And they got to be prepared for the down moves as well as positioned for the up moves. And they got to move a little bit from just being a day trader to having a little bit more of an understanding of what a long-term investor strategy should be. And bringing in that discipline with a long-term perspective, even if they don't become perfectly long-term investors right away, just the understanding of moving in that direction is the right thing for them to do. If they love what they're doing and they get burned a bit, that shouldn't send them away from the market, although I recognize that's a risk. That should tell them they need a better education, a better understanding that day trading alone is not going to be good enough to ride out the ups and downs of what's going on with the economy.
That's hilarious. Let's listen on Bloomberg.
A day or two ago.
Signs of that from Dogecoin. But one thing that's the key thing that's happened recently is the tide went out and we saw who was wearing clothes.
Man, tune into CNBC. We've got AMC, Bloomberg talking about Dogecoin.
Tether is the world's digital currency. It's a digital dollar, and it became number 3 on CoinMarketCap.com. So I think we're going to get a flush. We're going to get rid of some of these speculative excesses. But still, there should be some winners, and that's well reflected in the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index, which is up well over 100% this year.
You're killing me. Michael McGlone, one final question before we let you go back to the true believers. When does the government step in? I mean, what do you anticipate from Treasury or Commerce on Bitcoin?
There's not much more in Bitcoin. The next key step from Bitcoin will be an ETF. Futures volume is now sufficient, so it's kind of hard for the SEC to say no to a futures-based Bitcoin ETF. It's virtually a done deal, and it'll be a baby step. And next thing, I think, will be regulation on stablecoins, i.e. Tether. But this is a Cold War that's developing between China and the U.S. China's pushing back on this advancing technology. Yeah. And the U.S. has been embracing it. So I think the U.S. is going to embrace the fact that the digitalization of money is enhancing dollar dominance, and stablecoins and Tether is a key indication of that.
Yeah, Michael McGlone from a Cracker Barrel in Miami. Thank you so much this morning. Bloomberg Intelligence, commodity.
He's somewhere nicer than Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, I think,
I hope so.
All right, let's break down some cryptos here, shall we? We broke down some stocks here, so we got about 10 to 12 here. Again, these are all the levels to watch for these different stocks on the day. We'll do like another round of these in about 15-20 minutes. Till then, we'll kind of tune in on some cryptos. Let's check out the bigger one, the Bitcoin. It's been up. It's been trending higher. We're just trading shy of 40,000 here. So 42,000 is the resistance. Validated support at 36,000. We've seen a lot of sort of consolidation here in that range between 36 and 42,000. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about Bitcoin making a recovery back up to over 42, 47,000? Or do you think we're going to see that potential rollover of that price once again and a potential retest of 30,000 in the future. We broke down another video on from like technical traders. They're like 100% cash, and that was posted about a week ago, and they basically said that they see another sell-off for Bitcoin and Tesla, and you know they had the whole stock market chart, and they were pretty bearish on the macros and the market environment that we're in. I personally, for the broader markets, S&P and Nasdaq, I've mentioned it, I'm going to reiterate it, I don't see a crash. I could see a correction. 8 to 10% has kind of like been the estimate, and that's only because of inflation fears, interest rates, or some type of potential overvaluation or overheating of the economy. If that happens, you know, that's very normal for the markets. That's nothing out of the ordinary. That happens, we reset, and then we move back higher, right? We reset, then we rally once again. We reset, we rally. So it's been kind of like been the trend, but I don't see like a full-on, you know, crash or anything like that, like we saw back in March, because there's no specific catalyst that I believe is going to be the bigger driver or is going to trigger the markets to drop over like 15, 20, 30%. So Skook says roll over. It needs to retest once again before going up again. Interesting. So less than 30,000. Kaya says that'll be quite a bit of a drop here for Bitcoin. Yeah, we're already down a little bit, about 40% from the highs, right? So yeah, just about exactly 40%. So 36,000 is the support. Let's see if we can actually break out over that 200 simple moving average. Bitcoin didn't have like a death cross or anything. Usually that happens when the 21 EMA or the 50 EMA crosses below the 200. We're converging. They are certainly kind of converging together, but we haven't seen that crossing below. Tesla and NIO actually had that. Right? If I pull up Tesla here, so Tesla is also there. Let me see if that's the 50 SMA. It could be the simple moving average as opposed to the exponential. So we're going to bring up the 50 EMA here. Yeah, so we're still pretty up there, but we're converging there, and NIO actually had one, I believe. So NIO had one. Very briefly, you'll notice that we actually came down below the 200 SMA, and right now we are trading below that, pushing higher once again. All right, so let's go over to Ethereum here. Up over 4.6%, still trading under 3,200 or 3,000. This right here is a support now. We're going to turn that level here. Now we broke out over the moving averages, so that's good. And we're forming some type of higher lows as well for Ethereum. So earlier you'll notice that we were making lower highs, lower lows. We broke down, had a lot of consolidation here in between that range, and now we are starting to form these higher lows for Ethereum, right? So that's good sign of progress. And this could be like the new uptrend for Ethereum if you can get that breakout over that 3,200 level. So right now, perfect. I do see Ethereum having some more upside here from these levels. Only because, you know, 2,600 is the support validated from these higher lows and validated at these horizontal support level from this green line. So watch 2,600 and a potential target at close to 3,200 levels for Ethereum versus see some more continuation and upside for Ethereum moving forward. So let's take a look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin has also been on the move with the breakout over 35 cents. Elon Musk also posted like a picture of him looking at a computer. Was it of a Dogecoin, of a Shiba Inu, and I think he posted like my childhood from like the 1980s or something. I forgot what the tweet actually said, but Dogecoin getting rejected at this resistance that we identified at close to 45 cents. We had a breakout over the moving averages and this 35 cent level, which we'll go ahead and turn this as a support. And those right there to support, and we are getting rejected at this resistance. Previous support, rejection there at 45 cents. All right, let's circle back to the volatility here. About 30 minutes left for the markets to open, and the VIX is up over 7.5%. We got QQQ is up over almost 1%, down almost 1%, and SPY is down about 64 basis points. Let's take a look at AMC here. So AMC, look at that, back over $61 per share. So we're seeing that 21 EMA hold up pretty nicely on the 1 minute chart. That's a lot of buying pressure stepping in, and we're only down. Look at that, the 1 hour candle just started, literally just started 5 seconds ago. So the 21 EMA acting as support at 57.50 yet again for the second time in a row. So there's definitely buyers present. There's definitely a lot of momentum for the stock, and that is the first level of defense at 57.50 and the 21 EMA on the 1 hour chart. And we're back over $61. We're only down about 2% right now. What do you guys think? 57.50 is going to hold up? Are we going to break out over $77? I think I know what the answer is, but let me know in the live chat. I feel like a lot of people are going to say a breakout over $77, but right now we have $100 today, $100 today. That's kind of like the price target. That's the psychological price target, right? Yeah. Saw a little bit of short squeeze yesterday because I think it came down from 20% to I think as low as 18%. But we had like kind of a mix of both. Like as these prices are moving higher, short hedge funds are basically thinking that it's becoming a better and better short, because if they were willing to short it at 20, they love it at 70, right? The risk reward is even higher for them. So they get more tempted to short as the price moves up higher, but they're also raking up a lot of losses and interest on the way up. And it's just a really, really interesting situation. It's just incredible. This is crazy. We break out over 90, but close around yesterday's high of day 77. Sundial is making some solid moves. Yeah, we checked that out pre-market, and it definitely is pushing higher. But AMC be giving their shareholders free popcorn. I know, that's the difference maker. That was the big catalyst behind the move from yesterday. 95% push higher. Free popcorn, of course. That's great. All right, let's listen on this.
$10 billion is what I've got still on there for debt. That's an enterprise value of over $40 billion. What do they have? A little. They got 900 and something theaters. So you're talking 40 million plus a theater if you want to do it that way. The numbers are just incredible. They don't support the fundamentals in any way, of course, as most people know. But that doesn't seem, Morgan, to be what's really at stake here. Of course, what is simply people buying it because they think it's going to go up. There has been a fairly significant short position. Unclear how much of that has been closed out at this point. I would add one more thing, which is they're pretty much out of shares. They had an authorization to go to 524 million shares with the 8 million that they sold to Mudrick and then the 11.5 million here. They can't have many left. And you need shareholder approval to authorize more shares. Not clear they're going to be able to get it, especially when your shareholder base changes pretty much every day, given the volume in the stock.
It changes every day, but we do also know that AMC said that 80% of those shares are being held by individual investors right now, which again speaks to this meme madness, if you want to call it, this Reddit-fueled day trading retail investor boom that we're talking about. I mean, just to go back to market capitalization, David, I mean, that makes AMC now more greatly valued than half of the S&P 500 companies. And it's ripple effects, too. It's not just AMC or GameStop or Bed Bath & Beyond or some of the specific individual names that we've seen major moves in. It is also stuff like the Russell 2000 Value Index, which both AMC and GameStop are actually a part of. The Wall Street Journal did a good takedown on this last night, actually, just noting that the rallies of those two stocks have helped push the value index to its biggest outperformance versus its growth counterpart for the Russell 2000 on record. And that's going to be something to watch as well, because you do have that next annual rebalancing of the Russell Index. The news or the announcements around
they're
going to
get out.
They're
definitely getting out of that
as well. So in general,
value,
this has had ripple effects to other parts of the market.
Index. They're no longer value because you have to be a specific market cap.
Your point about the growing list of meme names is actually tallied today in a B of A note, guys. They look at the small to mid cap names that are getting the most mentions on Wall Street bets. AMC and GME are by far number 1 and 2, followed by Space and Beyond Meat. But there's Zillow in there now, David, Plug Power, Goodrich, American Airlines. Remember that episode from a couple of months ago? Bed Bath and Cleveland Cliffs. As for fundamentals, David, I mean, we keep getting reminded of interest expense at AMC, about $700 million a year. That would put you above 2019 EBITDA. But again, when we get these reminders from people who are likely on the short side, they say, look, this is for a time when fundamentals do matter again. It's clearly not today.
No, and we don't know when it will be. And, you know, to that point, listen, GameStop obviously is still hanging in there, right? It's $282 a share. When this all began months ago, there were many who, or few, I think, who would have anticipated it would have held up the way it has. It never quite broke. It did fall dramatically from its highs, but then it rebounded dramatically as well. Just take a look at that stock, not far really off of those levels that we saw. Well, that's, back in February. So, we'll keep an eye on this. You know, for its part, GameStop has been able to raise some capital, say it's changing its business to more of a growth orientation. AMC's ability to raise capital here may help it, but again, back to that authorization, they can't raise quite enough to be able to raise enough to pay down all that debt. Let's move on to another part of the story, of course, which is regulators and the meme stocks as well as that volatility continues. Amy Lynch is a former SEC regulator, now the founder of Frontline Compliance. And Amy, just weigh in for us here in terms of whether there even is a compliance/regulatory framework to this. Is there something to be looked at, or have we already gone through this given we saw it happen with GameStop a number of months ago?
Good morning, David. Thanks for having me back on the show today. And yes, here we are again. When we last spoke in January, we were talking about GameStop and the run up there with that security. And now we're here again, and we are talking about AMC. And at first, I think the past few weeks, it was looking very similar what was happening with AMC in relation to what happened to GameStop in January. But now we've had, just in the past few days, we've had some significant changes. And that, of course, is with the offerings that were announced. So first, we had the special offering with Mudrick Capital, which occurred a couple days ago. And now we have the offering that was just announced this morning to the general public. So there are definite differences now between what is happening with the AMC trade versus the GameStop trade.
Yeah, but does any...
All right, let's listen on Bloomberg a little bit.
Do you think that people perhaps are underestimating longer-term inflation and the Fed's willingness to allow this economy to run hot?
So I do to a certain extent. I certainly think the Fed is not going to be ahead of the curve here. You know, that's pretty much well stated. The Fed is going to let things run hot for as long as they possibly can until full employment's back in the U.S. And so, I was at a restaurant over the weekend, and it was closed because they literally didn't have enough people to work there. So I think that you're seeing these bottlenecks that are out there. And that's going to put a lot of near-term inflation.
Crazy.
But what does that really mean longer term? We don't know. But the longer that it hangs around, it does start to adjust people's expectations on where inflation is headed. And if people adjust their expectations, then that does become a longer-term trend. I think at this point, though, it is still likely to be transitory. I think it's probably going to be something like the Knicks out in 5 games versus the Hawks. But maybe it'll be a little longer than that. We'll see.
Well, Matt Hornbach, there's also a question about what the market's response will be to the Fed's reaction function. I know this sounds incredibly circular, and yet this is what markets do. And there is a question, if the Fed does start talking about tapering, what is the result in markets? Do yields really go higher, or do they go lower? Because it's actually potentially cutting off growth in the nearer term.
Well, Lisa, I don't think Fed tapering is going to have a big impact on growth. And I don't think it will have a big impact on interest rate markets either. The one thing that we have to remember is that what we're going to see with tapering in the next year or so is a lot different than what we saw in 2013. I mean, there were plenty of differences between the taper tantrum and the circumstances that surrounded it in 2013 versus where we are today. And I'll just give you one to chew on, which is back in 2013, most primary dealers thought that the tapering process would only last 3 months. Today, most people think it would last at least a year. So right there, you can see very clearly that ultimately this is a different time. And because of clear communication from the Fed, we don't think tapering will have that big of an impact on markets.
Matt Hornbach, what's the message from the Fed unwinding its $14 billion portfolio of corporate debt and corporate debt?
This is something that we covered
now?
This morning, right? 14 billion corporate bonds.
Well, I mean, I don't think too much, to be honest. It seems to be relatively well telegraphed. So I don't expect there to be that much impact. And let's face it, the demand for high yielding assets is off the charts today. So I suspect the market would welcome that additional supply at this point.
Matt Hornbach, Matt Brill, both of you, please stick with us. Right now, Bloomberg's Abigail Dooley.
All right, so yeah, so 13,600 is his support for the NASDAQ on the day, right? That's the level kind of aligned with that 2150 EMA. And, you know, unfortunately, I personally do think somewhat that we're going to see a breakdown below that level. That's just the way it is, because even though volatility and this inflation in the short term doesn't really mean a lot, because we have to look at the bigger picture, long term, and what the Fed decides to do with interest rates and a lot of different things, the market prices that in. And we've seen that every time Jerome Powell comes on, every time we get the CPI report, even though we know that, you know, year-over-year comps are not that great, last month's base effects falling out of the equation, still the market prices that in some type of a feeder sort of situation. So I'd be mindful at 13,006 support, you know, just cause, and that would only represent a good buying opportunity in my opinion if you do come down to 13,000 levels for the NASDAQ. S&P, however, I've been more cautious on that. You know, we put out a video over the weekend and how the monthly chart looks really. By the way, what do you guys think about the monthly chart? We'd love to hear from you guys too, and what you think about what this chart actually represents, the monthly chart here. So let me know in the live chat what you guys think is potentially happening here for the monthly chart. Because, you know, monthly chart, we don't talk about that very often. We usually look at the micro picture. We look at the, you know, the daily, the weeklies, even as low as the 4-hour, 1-hour chart. But the monthly charts are also important. Like, you can really identify some very good, excellent buying opportunities on the monthly chart in the past. Like, this was the housing bubble, this was the dot-com crash, and going back since even further, 1974, you know, we've seen the monthly chart pull back. It's been 2 to 3 months, unless it's like a full-blown crash here, like we saw back in 1999s and 2000s, and even the pandemic just was only like a couple months here, before rallying to new all-time highs. That's why one of the things that I do want to point out is that even though the RSI can stay overbought, it's very difficult to actually, you know, time the market, because if you move back, you'll notice that the RSI consistently stayed over 70 levels. So coming in from 2013 all the way to 2015, 2 years, look at the relative strength index, over 70 levels, overbought the whole time, which is why I want to make this very clear that just because the RSI is overbought here doesn't mean that we're going to see a pullback here. It doesn't mean that we're going to see a drop. It could very well just continue, right? It could just keep going up. If you were simply selling at these levels, you know, back in 2013, 2018, thinking the RSI is overbought and there's going to be a correction, you would have missed out on a little bit over 30%, you know, in a couple of years from the S&P 500. So these levels can persist for really long times, which is why it's more so like that you don't want to be buying at these levels unless there's a pretty significant correction. But if you are in the market, you know, we pretty much want to stay invested and take those dips and those corrections as good buying opportunities. All right, so NIO getting ready to test the 43.25 support today, I think. What do you think? So NIO, let's take a look. So this right here, what is that? Is that Tesla? Look at that. Pushing higher, almost at 600 once again. The NIO is down about 1.72. Apple is down about 66 basis points. AMC is down a little bit over 6%, but Tesla definitely on the move. Almost under $600 per share. Too much money has been printed. I doubt we will have a huge market correction or market drop. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of money on the sidelines too, which is why, you know, every dip gets bought up very quickly, right? Every time you see that pullback, a lot of people kind of step in because the valuations become really, really attractive. Once again, like, think about it, right? How many people would love to buy, you know, Apple at under $100? How many people would love to buy Tesla at close to 550 or like 500 levels? How many people would love to buy like all these different stocks that are coming down? If they do come down, the valuations become really attractive. Do not go for the head fake. Pre-market is manipulated on low volume. Yeah, I mean yeah, Harry, you're right. I mean, this could be very well, you know, signal a rollover as soon as the market's open too. So we'll see where we open. So can we expect a pullback to 1200 for Shopify? That's a great question. I think it really depends on the broader markets. We get into the situations where a lot of companies don't trade on their own fundamentals or their PR or their news releases that we get, and they more so trade on the macros. We're almost there. Like, we're $21 away from testing 1200 once again. So definitely, I mean, today we could see that pullback to 1200 for Shopify. We might push all the way up to 420 for SPY. Fake futures. Yeah, where is SPY trading? So SPY is just at 418, and QQQ is down about 88 basis points as well.
Fed's balance sheet now sits at about $8 trillion. But this announcement does come at a time when the market is considering when the Fed is going to start tapering and scaling back its monthly asset purchases. So that might make the move feel a little bit more significant. And I would end, Lisa, by just pointing out what exactly the Fed has done to the credit markets in the last 14 months or so, because as we know, spreads blew out in March of last year at the height of the pandemic turmoil, which is when the Fed stepped in to say, hey, don't worry, we got you. And with that Fed backstop, just the implication that the Fed was going to be there to support the market, it helped cool down the panic and narrow those spreads dramatically. We're now sitting at about 85 basis points on investment grade spreads. That's around the lowest in 14 years. And for high yield spreads, we are sub 300 basis points, Lisa.
Kaylee, thank you so much. That intervention being very controversial. PGIM's Nadine Sheets saying that the Fed's recent move shows some urgency to shut down the emergency facility, saying it, quote, highlights the Fed's discomfort with holding these instruments and the associated credit risk on its balance sheet, even with protection from a Treasury backstop. Still with us, Morgan Stanley's Matt Hornbach and Invesco's Matt Brill. Matt Brill, what's your sense of the big takeaway if it isn't necessarily that the Fed is backstopping credit markets on an ongoing basis?
So my takeaway is that the Fed has your back. Whether they tell you they have it now or they're going to have it in the future, it's still there, and that's permanent. So I actually believe if you have a glass half full type look at this is extremely positive. There's certain dates that you always remember in your career, your life, and March 23rd, 2020 is when the Federal Reserve came out and announced this, that they're going to buy corporate credit for the first time in history. And it's not a coincidence. Kaylee had the chart of corporate credit spreads. But it's not a coincidence that is when the bottom for the equity market was as well. So I'm not saying that corporate credit rules the world, but certainly it's the lifeblood of the economy. It's the lifeblood of the markets. And once that part of the market was fixed, it meant that the economy the markets could start to fix themselves or start to really price in where the market was headed. What I would also say, though, is that this is very, very small. It's very minuscule. It's something like 0.1% of the trading activity in all corporate debt for the rest of the year. And that the largest credit holding or largest ETF holding is LQD. And it's going to be about 1.3 days worth of trading volume. So it's very, very small there. But you still have to remember that just the fact of them announcing this in the past meant that the credit markets could correct themselves. The fact that it's not there right now is no big deal, because if they need it again in the future, I think they'll come back out with it.
Matt Brill, you're making a really important point. I want to sit on this for a second. This idea that perhaps it's not the Fed's actual purchases or at this point the sales of the corporate debt holdings, but rather the signal that it sends to markets that it has its back and it will going forward, regardless of the potential controversy around that. Matt Hornbach, given that lesson and given the ongoing success of this program, them being able to initiate it and remove it without necessarily disruption, what does this mean in terms of your risk appetite? How much are you willing to go further into credit and change the valuations because of this presumed Fed backstop?
Well, look, I think generally speaking, it does bode well for risky asset classes, including corporate credit. And I think our global credit strategist, Sri Shankaran, would probably suggest that corporate credit does rule the world. But I do think that there isn't likely to be any monetary policy signaling in this action. And in fact, some Fed officials have already commented as such. So I'm not reading too much into this move from an overall monetary policy perspective, but I do agree that similar to my view on tapering, this is probably not going to have that much of an impact on investors' appetite for risk at this point in time.
Right, so perhaps that's the near term, but the longer term message, could it be that spreads can go that much tighter in the future than they have been pre-crisis? Because at the end of the day, if things go bad, the Fed will have the markets back.
Well, Lisa, I think that the Fed is continuing to add accommodation every single month through its asset purchases.
So yeah, they're basically suggesting that this could be a signal for tapering. So in our video that we broke down earlier, if you guys did get a chance to watch that, I mentioned that this is not tapering. Tapering would be $120 billion that they're purchasing each month. That would be scaling back. That would be tapering from the Fed. But right now they're simply using that corporate bonds that they purchased. They're going to be selling that by the end of this year, close to $14 billion. That includes corporate bonds and that includes exchange traded funds, so ETFs, that includes corporate bonds as well. So two pieces of assets that they're going to be selling roughly for $14 billion. That is quote-unquote unwinding for them from their balance sheet. Moz, thank you so much. Amazon, do you think a fall to 2,600? I personally don't think so. 3,000 levels is about as low as I could personally see that going, because that's a huge support for Amazon. It's been a triple, quadruple bottom support if I were to bring that up. By the way, I want to talk about Workhorse too. Workhorse has been a huge rally. Has anybody been buying Workhorse? Let us know. So Amazon is down a little bit, close to, I believe, 25 basis points. Yes, 72 basis points. So 3,090 is about as low. And even if you do pull back from these levels, this is a much stronger level of support at close to 2,900. That's the demand level. Both of these levels are my personal buying points for Amazon. I'd be adding more under $3,000 per share. If we've done fundamental analysis on the stock, we run the revenue projections, they're going to be close to $1 trillion in revenues very soon, in about a couple of years' time. Harry, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'll add some AMC to my portfolio too, just for the cause, just for the standing up to everybody in the retail community and just making sure we are together in this. And for the short sellers and of course the manipulators, we are here together. So yeah, we'll do that too. So thank you so much for that. I really appreciate you. But for Amazon, fundamentally speaking, the analysis that we've done, my price target is well over $4,000 per share on this stock, and that's based on a more conservative estimates. If you were to be more aggressive, it's a little bit over $5,000 for Amazon. Great earnings report, by the way, that they released, and we saw the sell-off nonetheless. So hope that answers the question for Mas as well. Thought about buying Workhorse, but got into BlackBerry. So take a look at Ford. They're making big with the so we were reading on that earlier. So in our previous live stream, I talked about the Ford F-150 Lightning and how that is absolutely incredible with the amount of pre-orders as well. It definitely is a competitor for Tesla Cybertruck and some of the other utility vehicles. But let's talk about Workhorse. Huge rally here last couple of days. It's up a little bit over 100% from its all-time lows, or its 52-week lows, where not the 52-week low. Yeah, is it 52-week lows? So we're coming down from 813 as low as $7. So not really one-year lows, but that's been the sell-off, and we're up over 66% since yesterday, and we're up over 105% from those lows. So definitely pushing higher, breakout over that 50 EMA, 21 EMA, and a breakout over this $14 resistance as well, which will now act as a support moving forward for Workhorse. So we got about 7 minutes till the markets to open. $19.99 or close to $2,000 or $20 level is going to be the next resistance here for Workhorse. Previous support backed as a resistance for us to see if you can get that more squeeze. I think Workhorse was another one of those stocks that was not heavily, but like it was pretty significantly shorted relative to some of the other companies as well. All right, so let's take a look. Tesla down about 1.24%. NIO is down about 1.6, back over $40. Apple down about 60 basis points. Let's take a look at AMD. Down about 93 basis points, and AMC is down over 4.5%. Did you guys, so when I was putting out CNBC, they mentioned this about AMC, and they were like, Speaking with hedge funds, they basically said that this is not for the day-to-day. Like their short positions is more when the fundamentals get aligned with the stock price. So it really, the real question is how much of a time horizon do they have on these short positions? I'm really curious to know about that, because the rally that I've seen the last couple of days has been strictly coming out of a lot of fear of missing out, right? A lot of people kind of jumping in because they don't want to miss out on the rally here, and we haven't seen much of a squeeze. I mean, in fact, if anything, it's gone up a little bit, come down a little bit. It's just been kind of around that 19-20%. So Kamal, that's a great question. The target is a little bit 3 to 4 years out. I'm estimate is 2025 target. So I took 2025 revenue of about $1 trillion. Let me see if I can pull that up. So, and that's based on a different multiple, price to earnings multiple, and price to sales multiple for Amazon as well. So let me see if I can find that. So we got about 5 minutes till the open. Let me see if this is actually the estimate or not. No, so that's Tesla's analysis. I'll have to look that up. I've actually shared it with our Patreon members as well. So you're more than welcome to join that if you want to take a look at it. It's an Excel file that I've shared with everyone. So Harry says I'm buying Tesla at the open. Colm says I like Ford because they never took any handout from the government. I see potential with them. Robert Papa says Sundial growers growing my portfolio. That's awesome. That's great. NIO definitely seeing a bit of a rally here pre-market. Lows from 39.83. We're up about $1 here, up over 2%. And so is Tesla. They're both running past a little bit here. And then the AMD is down about 1%. Let's take a look at the VIX. Coming down, up over 7% though still. QQQs are down about 82 basis points. SPY is down about 0.5%. Right, let's take a look at the NASDAQ for the open. So U.S. initial jobless claims maintain downward trend in week ended May 29th. So U.S. initial jobless claims fell to 385,000 in the week ended May 29th, revised from 405,000 level in the previous week. So about 20,000 drop here. Close to expectations for a decrease of 387,000. The 4-week average fell to 30,500, 428,000. However, as has been the case in recent weeks, insured jobless claims rose by 169,000 to 3.7 million in the week ended May 22nd, then declined to 136,000 the previous week. I want to look at the cumulative number. This is like the week over week. What is the cumulative figure? So this is ADP's report. Non-farm productivity growth was revised, unrevised at 5.4% rate in the first quarter. Non-farm productivity fell by 3.8%. Unit labor costs revised up to 1.7% rate of growth in the first quarter. Yes, we covered NIO. You can kind of go back on the live stream and take a look at it. All right, let's get ready for the open here.
I did want to ask you about sort of the sleepy action that we've seen last few sessions, 5 sessions or so. The open to close swing has been no greater than about 19 basis points.
Yeah, it's been uncommonly calm for a while right now. In fact, you go back 6 weeks, we were at these levels. I think the big debate was, well, is this kind of a waning energy in the market, meaning that we're at the top end of a trading range, or is it just kind of regrouping and gathering up strength for another push higher? It's not been clear. I think it was like 55-45 probability that it was maybe gearing up to break higher just because good and you have more stocks going up and down. But obviously today,
why is there a crowd clapping in the background? Do you guys hear that too?
Do you think the meme story has changed at all, given that it's clearly evident now that AMC is going to be looking to leverage whatever action?
That is CNBC. I don't know why they have a crowd clapping.
Yeah, I don't
All right, here we
know
go.
if that specifically is going to be the thing that changes it, but when stocks go vertical like this and pile on tens of billions of market cap, they're just going to get unstable. The options volume's too much. All the friction about the hedging and everything gets too crazy. So I do think it's going to be tested today.
All right, there's the opening bell. Some confetti at the NASDAQ. Brett, not so great at the open. David, doesn't that sound of the background noise bring back memories?
Yes, memories, and soon to be our present, right, Carl?
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. It's coming. The day is coming for all of us. All of us, yes. AMC shares down about, let's call it, I don't know. You know, is Mike still with us? Yeah, he's there. Look, I see him in that bottom box. I mean, Mike, the volume in some of these names is incredible. Yeah. And by the way, some of them start trading at 3:34 in the morning. I mean, it's a global phenomena. And it's not just AMC. You know, names like BlackBerry also, which was drawn in the first time to the meme craze. They're kind of going after that one again, too.
Oh, BlackBerry's up 24% today.
You can see it right there. But the volume numbers are amazing.
Yeah, viral networks never sleep, and I do think what you have is an infrastructure here where you have systems that they hunt for momentum, and they hunt for rapid movement, and they hunt for what I would call kind of idiosyncratic flows into specific stocks. What that means is it's just for some reason it just erupts, and you all of a sudden get tremendous short-term price changes. And when AMC yesterday trades over 760 million shares, only 500 million exist. It's the same machines batting these shares back and forth all day in a massive range. The average price paid for AMC yesterday was above $50 a share. It traded 40-something billion dollars worth of the stock. That's just an intense concentration of action going on right there. And I think it's one reason why I think we should ease back from saying somehow this is purely a short squeeze. 95 million shares were short at last report. If nobody on a net basis covered, it only accounts for 1/8 of yesterday's volume. It's not really what's happening, but it's part of the motivating story that keeps people involved and keeps people believing that there's a reason why this stock should go up further, even though even by the company's assessment, it's totally become detached from the business.
Yes, and totally for the win with some key context right there. But I do wonder, Mike, the debate is gaining momentum around how this speaks to, and we can talk about whether it's pockets of speculation or if it's one-off stocks, et cetera, but how it speaks to, in general, all of the excess liquidity in the market right now in general and all of the risk-taking that has been afoot given what we've seen in terms of Fed policy. And then, of course, you layer the fiscal stimulus on top of it right now and what that means for broader market action, especially if we get, for example, either a hotter or a weaker than expected jobs number tomorrow.
I think it's part of the backdrop. It's part of how people explain to themselves why it might make sense to take more risk, because you do have credit markets incredibly medicated right now, or not even really medicated, they're just strong. And so I think it's, you have $1,400 checks hit a lot of accounts that maybe didn't have an immediate need for. I'm on board with the idea.
All right, let's look at the markets now. NIO is up. It's almost green here, so we did make some type of recovery here. Workhorse killing it. Let's put that up down bottom left. We're gonna watch Workhorse here. We're up over 36%. Look at that move to the upside right at the open. Trading over 15, now $16. Look at those spreads. The spreads are huge. Those moves are coming in stronger. What is the short interest on Workhorse right now? What does that look like for Workhorse? let's take a look on Wall Street Journal if they have that available. I'll pull that up, but just might be mindful that it's going to be also a little bit delayed. It's not real-time data that I don't have access to it yet. But yeah, I mean, 49, almost 50% in the green here for Workhorse. Honestly, Workhorse also somewhat deserves it. It's just been a beaten down stock coming in from, what was it, highs of, oh, look at that. I just want to go over to the NASDAQ here. Yeah, so I mean, it's just been down from highs of $42, right? It was sold off over 82%. So I mean, I think it deserves at least this breakout to the upside. That we're seeing a huge bullish candle to the upside here for Workhorse. For NASDAQ, you'll notice that we're just literally hovering over 13.6 here, guys. So 13,600, right above that moving average. The question is, are we going to see some buying momentum here to the upside to kind of fill in that gap, or are we going to see a potential retest of 13,600 for a potential breakdown ahead of the jobs report tomorrow? Xpeng going up too. That's incredible. A lot of stocks. So the volume on Workhorse is incredible. I mean, it's over 53%. It's already traded 19 million shares. Look at that. AMC coming off the lows, back over $61. The volatility, low for the day was 51. Now it's back over $62. We're flat on the day. Wow, look at that percentage of float for Workhorse. And this is, considering this is from May 14th at 42% almost. Look at that, 42%. It's, I think, probably one of the higher ones. That is incredible. Look at that move, up over 58%. Tesla on the downside here, trading back under 600. We're down a little bit over 1.28%. How is the VIX looking? So the VIX is pulling back a little bit. So we are up only 6.23%. We are coming down. But so is the NASDAQ. We're down a little bit over 1% at this point. So we're probably trading under 13. We're almost at 13.6 here. We're coming down though. So that's the candle on the day. So you'll notice that we're right over that 21 EMA. And the SPY is also pulling back down about 65 basis points here. But so Workhorse gets that initial pullback here, testing that middle VWAP. I'm going to copy and paste the 21 EMAs here for every chart. So NIO definitely seeing that pullback here, and AMC is also seeing that pullback. The volatility on AMC is incredible, you guys. I mean, it's just been going back and forth quite a bit. Tilray and Sundial to the moon. Let's take a look. Up over 14%. Look at that. Definitely seeing that squeeze to the upside. Let's add a few more stocks on this chart. So we're going to add the NASDAQ with that candle over here. Down almost 1%. We're almost testing the 21 EMA here at 13,006. So let's add Sundial here. What else? Couple more stocks. Guys, feel free to comment in the live chat, and we'll add that the 1 minute, 5 minute charts here for those stocks. NDX selling off. Yep, there we go. Coming down a little bit, little by little. NASDAQ is pulling back. So is the S&P 500, right? So we're down about 72 basis points here. And the VIX is getting a little bit elevated over 7%. But yeah, we're making new low of days. Sean, what's going on? Welcome, welcome. Tesla again, I missed it. No worries. We're gonna go over this in, quite a few times, but Tesla definitely seen that pullback here, and so is NIO. So those open candles here down. What is green? Let's take a look. What is green? Pretty much nothing. Everything is red right now. With AMC being down the most, a little bit over 8%. We got Fubo TV down over 5.2. GameStop is down over 4%. Upstart and Phase Energy down, coming down to that 130 support that we talked about. Palantir is down over 3%. We got Peloton, CCIV, Lemonade, Baidu, Twilio, Fiverr, DraftKings. Everything is in red. Anywhere between, I want to say 0.5% to as high as like 8%, which is AMC. But I'd say like anything between 0.5% to 5% for some of those larger cap growth stocks. So Amazon, Apple, AMD, Pinterest, Netflix, all in the red, and down about 80 basis points, so about a 1%. And things that are in the green barely, it's CVS and Procter & Gamble. Let's take a look at the banking sector here. So banks, we are across the board for fintech and legacy. They're all down, or traditional, so to speak. And energy, oil prices slightly up because demand for oil is actually going to be much, much higher, right? So we've seen that OPEC supply, and they foresee a lot of demand in the future. So UK oil, Brent crude up. So US oil, which is going to be crude, it's trading as at $69 per barrel, and Brent is at $71.50. So ExxonMobil, Chevron pretty much flat on the day. Some look at this EV stocks here. EV stocks moving with Workhorse up over 35. It's come down a little bit from the highs, but the changes are just really volatile. Like you can see that from 35 it jumped to 42%. And Lordstown Motors is also up over 10% on the day. We got GM, Volkswagen, Toyota, Ford, and then a lot of other tech stocks. So ChargePoint, ChargePoint may be a stock that I might do like a dedicated video on. What do you guys think? Let me know in the live chat if you guys want a dedicated video on ChargePoint. We covered this stock a while ago on the fundamentals, and the valuation on a pre-merger basis was trading at 100 times price to earnings, which was a little bit steep, but it's come down substantially even after the infrastructure build that we're going to see. I think it's a stock that it could be worth looking into, and we can do some more research on it. But let me know in the live chat if you guys would like an update on it, and I'll definitely consider doing one. So Sundial is up over 22% here, trading at $1.40, and Tilray is up over 9.6, almost 10%. Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about these stocks too. I mean, this is also going to be a big narrative in 2021, right? So, of course, can't speak it because of the YouTube algorithm, but this, as soon as we get that legalization, it's going to be huge for a lot of these stocks, right? So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in one of our other videos. We'll do like a dedicated video on it. So, Apple selling off aggressively. Let's take a look. So, oh, look at that. Candles. Look at that. Candles for Apple here. Coming down under 124. 118 is the next level, guys. So we're down about 1%. It's nothing. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If Apple comes down, it's a good buying opportunity. So is Tesla. We're down under 600, down about 2% here. So is NIO. Let's take a look. Oh, NASDAQ with that brutal sell-off, and so is the S&P. We're down under 13.6 for the NASDAQ. We're down under 13.6. Down about 1.2%. Let's take a look at the volatility and where that's trading. Still decent VIX. I mean, we're still trading at 19 levels for the VIX, and we're still... yeah, they're talking about a 10-year note, which is not even that high. The 10-year yields is up 1.6% to 1.613. Where do we see NIO going? NIO has a support at $40. Let's see if we can actually hold up that level at 40 on the day with the way that we're going right now. Doesn't look very good. But AMC halted right now, looks like, because we had a 5-minute drop of over 11% in a 5-minute candle. So that's definitely a halt. And we halted at 9:40, so we're going to probably open another minute 20 seconds. So we'll see where we open. I mean, yesterday was crazy. I was watching this stock 1 minute, and we actually got halted at, I think it was like $61, and we opened at 51. That was like a full $10 drop in 5 minutes after the open, like after the reopen, after the halt. So that was absolutely incredible. Now who's to say, like during the halt, of course, retailers can't do anything. They can't buy or sell because it's halted for 5 minutes. But who's to say the hedge funds aren't doing anything on the back end, right? They could easily be trading. So stocks get halted when we see a significant either drawdown or an upside. It happens both sides. It happens on a specific percentage. So let me see if I can pull that up. For the SPY, it happens in 3 stages, 7%, 13%, and 20%. And for securities, I believe it's like 10 or maybe 20% in like a 5-minute period, but I could be wrong about that. Let me just double check that. It's more so like if you're day trading that stock, you want to be aware of it. But yeah, it's like severe move to the downside or to the upside. It's nothing wrong with the stock itself. It's just that it's making the aggressive moves. Yeah, they're automatically triggered by the SEC when we see those pullbacks or these upside moves for the stock. Ooh, look at that VIX jumping over 9%, back over 19 levels for the volatility index, and we're seeing the NASDAQ now down over 1.3%. I feel like every time I reload, we see that candle push downward even further. Looks like people taking profits. Yeah, we're just waiting for that candle to get open. So 1 minute, let's take a look. Yeah, so we're just halted right there at 9:42. All right, so we actually didn't get halted at 9:40. We halted at 9:42. So now we're gonna open at 9:47 in about 1 minute, exactly 1 minute right now, because that's the time. So yeah, give it 1 more minute. We should be open for AMC here, but Apple struggling at 124. Now starting to consolidate back. NIO, $40 is going to be the support. NDX successful test for 13,500. Will it bounce? Kind of hard to say there, Harry. I mean, there is more downside, unfortunately, for the NASDAQ. But, the 50 EMA, 20 EMA are still there. So those are going to be levels to watch. So, all right, we got about 30 seconds till AMC will potentially open. But Tesla is at 595. Where are we opening? What do you guys think? Where is AMC going to open? Let us know in the live chat. NIO is assessing that $40 support, right? Let's take a look at Workhorse here. And how's that doing? So up over 33%. Trading at $15.42, but we have seen a bit of a sell-off here from $18. That's a drop of 14%. Answer to the moon, market to the core. AMC is a battleground. It is. It's a big fight here. It is. It's fascinating. It's incredible. Never seen anything like it. All right, so we should open any second here for AMC. So let's take a look at the markets and if there's anything that's potentially turning green here. Nothing. Nothing is. There we go. So AMC just opened. We are now under $50. 47.71. Close to 49. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, man. The volatility here in this space is just incredible. It's not for everyone,
Stock is down 22% right now, back under $50 a share. We've got more Squawk on the Street on the other side of this break as we continue to watch the meme trading.
All right, so let's take a look at. All right, Workhorse kind of curling back up. Let's take a look at our other stocks. So I got 2 more spots open. What stocks do you guys want at the bottom here, so we can keep that on the update and check back on them frequently to see where they're trading and kind of keep an eye out on the NASDAQ as well as it continues to pull back, and we're now down a little bit over 1.3%. again, I don't want you guys to panic or anything. It's very normal for the markets. That's one of the reasons why we put out, the catalyst in the June 2021 calendar and the market warning over the weekend is because we were expecting the volatility spike, right, in the VIX. It's very normal. There's nothing to basically be concerned about. After June 15th and 16th is kind of like where I see markets having more clarity on the market. So Skills is down a little bit over 8.6%. And we've got Palantir that's down over 4%, trading under $24 per share once again. Did AMC go into another halt here? Yep. We just went into another halt at 43.41. Yeah, another halt at 9:48. Literally in 2 minutes. This was like a halt at 9:47 and then another halt at 9:48. AMD halted again? Yeah, AMC, yeah, Harry, I think, right? You meant halted, yep. Yeah, so another halt for AMC here, but Tesla coming down to 592, still holding above 590. That's the support for Tesla, right? 590 is a level. That's the level that bulls are also fighting. That's a level that the bears want to see us break down below. For NIO, I would watch 40. 40.31 is a low for the day. We're still fighting that level. Let's take a look at Apple if it's starting to curl back up or if we're going to break down even further. Ooh, look at the NASDAQ. Down about 1.45%. Oh, man. We are fighting for the NASDAQ. But, SPY is coming up. So, I feel a lot more comfortable here when VIX actually hits 20 levels. The sooner we can get to 20 for the VIX, the better it is. And the reason is because that's where the next resistance sits for the volatility index, right? So weird to see AMC going when the broader market is dropping. So this right here is the VIX. Also, AMD is pushing up. What is it? AMC is pushing higher once again. Oh, that was a previous alert. My bad. Yeah, my bad. I thought that was like an alert. I was like, what? Back up to $57? You guys saw that alert, right? As soon as I opened this chart. So there we go. So the VIX is up almost 9% here. So 20 is the resistance, the first resistance to watch. All the way as like 30. We'll see if that actually does get level. So 9:49 was the halt time, and we're waiting for 5 minutes. So 9:54. We're waiting for like another 3 minutes, or 2 minutes from where we are. So 9:52 a.m. But look at NIO pushing up. We're down only about 70 basis points right now. We're still struggling at $41, and Tesla also fighting 600 on the day. So these halts are not good for AMC. Yeah, I mean it kind of triggers these disruptions, or sort of like in a very abrupt way. It stops trading, and the momentum that you're trying to build, the volume that you're trying to build, it kind of cuts it off automatically. But this has been an SEC rule for a really long time. It's not like something that the brokers are doing, like Robinhood did, like taking the sell button off so you can't really buy. But this has just that's happened for every stock that's trading on the markets, right? We've seen, S&P 500 hit so many halts on the way down back in March. I think it hit like a couple halts twice in the same day. And the interesting thing is, after 3:30 p.m. Eastern, if the S&P continues dropping, there's no barriers as to how low it can go. Because after 3:30 p.m., I think it was 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. I'm not confirmed, but it's right around that timeline before the markets close. There's no stopping. The halts don't go off. So you can pretty much fall off a cliff for the S&P during that time back in March 2020, and there's absolutely no stopping. All right, so Sundial is up over 11% here, so tilt rate still up over 6, but we're seeing a pullback for both of those companies, and so is Skills, right? So NASDAQ trying to stay up there, but we're still down a little bit over 1.4%. Yes, AMC opening up again in about a couple minutes here, just about 10 seconds here, like 9:54. Again, we don't get the data for the millisecond. I don't know if I can actually change that. Time zone, session breaks. So yeah, we don't get like by the millisecond. Otherwise, it would have been like exactly 5 minutes, but it should be any second now that we open. There we go. All right, so we opened at $42, 43. So we're seeing that buying pressure come in. So just under $46, we're down still about 27%. Seeing that selling pressure. Volume on the day so far for AMC is going to be at 103 million shares. So we're already at a 1/3 of our average 10-day volume. Yesterday as compared, it's like still a long ways to go, but NDX is testing 13,500. Yeah, so we're just almost at that level area, close to. Kane says this is so entertaining. I would be stressed if I was a back holder. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of volatility for these stocks right now. I mean, it's only increased because of the VIX jumping over 7% today and the economic data that's coming out. If you're prepared for the volatility ahead of time, you know, you'd be a lot more comfortable. But of course, if you're just checking in, then you know it can kind of catch you off guard a little bit because everything is red. I mean, nothing is green except for the VIX, which is green when the markets go down. And Procter & Gamble, CVS Delaware, John Deere, ticker symbol DE. Those are 3 stocks that are up. But Twitter slightly up. No way. It went up. It got halted on the way up because we jumped over 6% on the 1-minute candle. Yeah, so I think it's 5% in a 1-minute time span is when stocks do get halted on either side. Because this is a 10% drop, 6% upside at 942. 7% drop. So yeah, I think it's 5% is when we actually. So 5% in a 1-minute time. Look at NIO. NIO coming out of nowhere, turning green. Yeah, so we at least have some green here. NIO validated $40 and we're now back up to $41.35. Yes, this is the third halt, KO. This is the third halt. Ranger, you're right. NIO is pushing higher and so is Tesla, making some green candles here. So Palantir's pushing higher, same trajectory as Tesla and NIO. But we still are down pretty much 3% on the day. Let's take a look at Workhorse here. Up over 48%, so definitely seeing that push higher again. High of day sits at 1833. We'll set that alert at 1850, and the low is at $14. So this halt was at 954, so we're gonna open at 959 in about a couple minutes here. But NIO trading to as high as 41.50. We're almost up 1%. Apple is kind of rounding out. So let's see if we can get that breakout over that 21 EMA at 123.69, at least to start off. All right, so the Nasdaq making that recovery. Let's see if we can get that breakout over that 50 EMA, the middle VWAP here. It's going to be sitting at 329. So that 50 EMA coming in stronger. 13,600 is still the level to watch. We're still down a little bit over 1.2%. Right, in about a minute we open back up. All right, let's take a look at some of the other stocks. Nvidia down to 669. PayPal's down. Square's down over 2%, back down to 215. And 215 is a support for Square. This week will go down in the Tesla history books as a battle of 600. Yes, we've been fighting that 600 level for a really long time. So it's Shopify. I know somebody was asking about Shopify earlier. We're almost at 1200 levels. Trading as low as 1,212. So Tattooed Chef is down a little bit over 3%. We got Fubo TV that's down over 4.6. Fiverr and Phase Energy. So 40% move on Workhorse is perhaps like the biggest winner that we're seeing, like a big name that's up. But other than that, I mean, rocket companies, we got NanoX Imaging, Plug Power, Nano Dimensions, Beam Global, BNGO. You know, Skills, everything is now turned red. And AMC should open any second here now. So it's been 5 minutes since we had that halt. So in less than 30 seconds, we should open. On the 1 minute, let's take a look for the QQQs. I don't quite see it yet, Harry. I'm not sure if you're actually going to see the breakout over that 329. This is definitely a bounce higher. We're still down over 1.29. There we go. So we're opened at $48. We're down about 23% still, but we are back over $47. There's two really rapid candles. So that was a candle from barely like, I have the 1 second candles here. That would be pretty crazy to go over that. These are the entire halts. But look at the volatility on the stock. These are the 1 second candles. And if you were to take a look at the volume 1 minute, 63,000 shares, 73,000, 74,000, 81,000 per second. This is not per minute, per second is the volume for AMC here. So we're back almost at back over $50. But NIO making moves here, slowly and steadily, almost up over 85 basis points. GM is crushing it, so let's take a look at GM. Up over 3.6%. Wow, that's really good. Yeah, and almost at 50% of the average Sunday volume here. So definitely seeing that move to the upside. So Apple breaking down over 123. We're actually breaking out over that 21 EMA. So we're definitely seeing that move to the upside for Apple. What do you guys think? 1 second charts or 1 minute charts for AMC? So the Nasdaq, QQQ ETS fighting that fifth middle VWAP here. VIX is coming down, up still over 5.6%. And the SPY is also down over 74. So let's see if we can get that breakout over $53. There we go. Did it hang for a little bit? One tick charts, 1 minute. Yeah, heat map is almost all red except for Ford and GM. And NIO, our NIO is pushing up almost 90 basis points here. So that's good. Alright guys, so I'm actually going to end the live stream here. I'm going to spend some time with the Discord members very soon. Again, if you guys want to be a part of that, the link is going to be down in the description below. Everything, our Webull, Patreon, and our TradingView charts, all the links are going to be down in the description below. We do add some weekly trade setups and some swing trading opportunities if you guys want to get access to that. We had a trade on Mara, we had a trade on Alibaba. I'll be doing some more scanners and estimates on what we can actually play out remainder of this week and next week as well. But of course, you'll get access to the TradingView charts and our private Discord as well. So jobless claims numbers coming in a little bit much better than expectations. And of course, the ADP employment report coming in much higher than the expectations as well. AMC down slightly, but we're back over $51 per share. NIO is also up over 1%. And Tesla is pushing back over $600 per share. The Nasdaq is pulling back below 13,600, but we're still fighting that level. We're down about 1.17% right now, so that would be the level to watch. And we're seeing that some type of recovery with the VIX pulling back as well. So thank you so much. I'll see if I have some more time, so I'll kind of come back live before the markets close or kind of after a little while here. But thank you so much for joining in. I hope you guys have a great, fantastic day and a morning, and finish the day on a strong green note. Hopefully the markets recover. If not, great buying opportunity. Don't forget the calendar. Tomorrow we've got a lot of things coming up. Jerome Powell is also speaking, so I will be live to cover that as well. And we've got the unemployment rate and the jobless claims numbers, not the jobless claims, but the unemployment numbers, payrolls coming up. And the next week and the following week are also very important for inflation and interest rates. So thank you so much for joining in. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. As always, make sure that you like the stream. Helps out the channel in a tremendous way. Hope you guys have a great day.